My name is John Wood Jr., and I have 3 questions for you. What does it mean to be a good person? What does it mean to make a moral society? And what would it look like to have an ethical politics? You may think you have the answers to these questions, but as a people, we cannot have the answers to questions we do not ask. And indeed, we have not been asking the big questions in America today. So it is our purpose to ask these questions here on the Wood Review, and to do so with you. Now, every week, this channel will be bringing you a look at American politics, religion, and society that is not tied to the constraints of the traditional political paradigm. Talk radio, cable news, and so much of the rest of the media is caught up in questions of right and left, dividing the American people along lines of class, race, and party. But the real dynamics of American life that we have to look at are not fundamentally matters of right or left. They are questions of right and wrong. They are questions about how we treat each other, how we speak to one another, how we can live together, and how we might manage to love one another. These are moral matters, and they have ever so much more to do with securing the future of our children and grandchildren than do questions of taxes and spending. If only because everything we build politically and economically in America fails if there is no goodwill between our people to hold such progress together. And make no mistake, we do live in a time when goodwill is failing between the American people. The evidence of this is all around us. Polarization between the parties is higher than anyone can remember. Race relations are worse than they have been since perhaps the Civil Rights Movement. Trust in our institutions, civic, corporate, media, is deteriorating, and we can scarcely agree on what it could mean to make America great, much less what it would mean to make her great again. And yet for all of this, there is greatness in America, to be certain, because there is goodness in you. Whether you are a white farmer in the Midwest or a black social worker in the Northeast, if your wish is to live in peace with your neighbor, then you have goodness in you. Whether you are a gun-toting Baptist in Tennessee or a secular Jew in San Francisco, if you believe all Americans ought to have a fair shot at the American dream, then there is goodness within you. Whether you are a progressive who believes in social justice and the cause of equity, or a conservative who believes in liberty and the rule of law, if you believe that the higher moral calling of man is for us to love each other as we love ourselves, then you have goodness within you. And now's a good time to let that show. Unfortunately, our political culture has not evolved to bring out the best in us. Partisan media, political parties, and many politicians seem pre-programmed to bring out the very worst. And we all have a side of us that tends towards anger, cruelty, and to be unforgiving when we feel we have been wronged. But the truth is that we can find a better way to treat each other as Americans, a way that resonates with the values of understanding, empathy, and civility. We can find a way to relate to one another that preserves our collective conscience. We must believe that this is possible as individuals, so we may act upon this conviction as a society. That is the mission of the Wood Review. So come back every week for fresh perspectives on the news of the day, updates on the rising tide of a new American consciousness, and for insight on the big moral, political, and philosophical questions of our time. And get ready, if you don't mind, to be a part of a movement of Americans left and right, blue and red, liberal and conservative, who are as tired of the bitterness of the present day as you are, and who are ready to move beyond it into a brighter tomorrow. So like, share, and subscribe, and keep watching The Wood Review. I'm John Wood.